Hello everyone. These highlights will be a bit of different in compared to what we had because first of all we will have this type of kick-ass footage from the third-person view. Then, as usual, but a bit more than usual, we will have some segments information so you could just have a look wherever you appeared at top 10 in the particular area of the course. And then we will also have footage of other guys running on the course compared to relatively where I've been on the track as well. So something new coming in, and we will see whether it gets any traction or a lot of traction. So here we at Vilnius, capital of Lithuania, and we will be participating in very hard race. It's XC type of one with a lot of elevation, so 5 kilometers per lap or so, with around 300 meters of elevation. So it's not very often to get those numbers in Lithuania, our flatland mother nature. In Karma experiments events, we have signal at the start, which changes in 5 seconds intervals, and you could have seen that it turned on green and we are off to the initial straight of the race. So organizers made the course that first lap is a bit different than all of the rest because we needed some space to make sure to overtake who's want to overtake and want to make those overtakes. So whoever wanted to do that, they had the place there, and we are into single tracks already. So it's 40 seconds on and we are already trying to survive in those very beautiful Sapieginė forests. And upcoming there will be a very steep uphill, not the steepest one of the day, but it was of the sense that if you at least for a slight moment lose traction or went the wrong way, then you get off the bike and continue on your foot up to the point where you can get on the bike, but it's not straight away. So you can see that there are quite a lot of guys in front. They are not far away, and as usual, I expect that everything will be fine and they won't get away from me. Most often, it's not the case. We'll see how it goes this time around. So where are those mountains? Where are those 300 meters of elevation? Well, while I've been waiting for them, here we come. So the group which was initially in front is still there, meaning that we are climbing this hill which is more than 12 degrees of gradient, and there is nothing where you can escape from this place, simply because up front there are 2 sand sections, which I was expecting that it would be turned into more rideable ones during the race. Not the case. And here I allowed Matas Dumčius to go in front. He was hell of a flying on the downhills, which I couldn't respond to, but on the uphills Matas was very comfy, meaning that he didn't put too much effort, and that meant we were going on the uphills like a snail speed. Hard to understand how these moments happen. So someone makes his shifts his gears to the smallest cog even before the hardest part even starts. So that's kind of strange behavior for me. And here those veterans, masters, were supporting us even though we were not participating in this race, but sometimes they do, and they are amazing. So I almost crashed here over the bars because front wheel just slipped over, but somehow I managed to survive. And here you can see Matas already in front before the downhill, and as usual he just put the pedal to the metal, and yeah, he's already gone out of the sight. For me, such steep downhills are kind of a moment of shrugginess, where you try to reduce your speed and not go too fast, because there are not too much traction there, and you just don't want to risk. At least I don't want to. And this was the steepest uphill of the day, even though it was short. If I'm not mistaken, the distance of this hill was around 30 to 45 meters in terms of the distance, and the elevation gain was like 11 meters, so it's a really steep one in such short distance. And here we're coming down on the bumpy downhill path. So I'm being overtook by the guys who, one had some mechanical issue, the chain dropped off from the chainring, and the other just didn't manage to climb on that first uphill. It's Kazlauskas from Swedbank team, I believe so. So those watts to the pedals to make sure that I survive this climb. And this section yet again was steep, but thankfully organizers removed one tree before the race, because it was somewhere in this place and it was very difficult to make the corner. And here I also shrug a bit, because there are not too much traction here and you don't want to slide on those routes. So maybe it's a matter of tires pressure, and I could have added a bit less. I had like 1.6 and 1.8 or something like that to the front and rear. And here is amazing footage by Kasparas, who even made an effort and run a bit. So thanks a lot for him for sharing such nice footage. I believe that at some point we will turn to the moment where drones will be flying and yeah, follow-ups and all that stuff. Maybe not in the forest areas, but I can see it coming. And this was a single track, which I already knew, so I haven't mentioned that I did a recce of the track 3 days before the race, and it looked like I knew it quite well, because in the past I was living in Vilnius as well, and I was experiencing those single tracks from time to time. But on the race day it turned out to be that something was not exactly right, and I will continue about this afterwards. And here we are approaching probably the longest uphill of the day, and you can see that I'm here, and Justinas Biekša, which made the record on this segment, was already at the close to the finish of the first lap. So that means like in the first lap out of 4 I'm already losing 4 to 5 minutes or so. So we can see later down the road how much time it took for me to finish this lap, but the gap is already huge. No surprises, Biekša finished first on this race. And in front, yet again, after the climb, I can already see Dumčius. And here are the times for this segment. So I managed to make a 9th time on this first lap during the race among all participants which shared their activities on Strava. And you can see that first lap I was averaging 338 watts. So that's kind of good number for me, especially when there were quite a lot of uphills. And here I made the wrong move. It's nothing major, but it's just a shame because you did the recce and all of a sudden you just forgot that, hey, there was a corner there. And here friends of mine and Neringa captured some footage on the downhill, and you could have seen how slow it looked like in compared to what BXC did. So it was like 26 kilometers per hour, while BXC probably was running a lot significantly faster, probably something towards 40. And on the left you can see the segment of the whole course, whole single lap, and how fast our guys managed to run that lap. We will see that table quite a few times during the whole highlights video, as well as it will be included into the full onboard. And here the guy who runs one lap less than us already managed to close to us and overtake us. It's Mantas Pavliukevičius, and a few minutes afterwards Maximas Zhukovas also managed to catch us. If I'm not mistaken, the guys who were running 3 laps, not 4 ones, were started something like 80 seconds afterwards, so they managed to squeeze that number already and go in front of us. And here, 30 minutes into the race, I finally tried to take a gel. It was Morton, but the thing here is that I already felt that something is wrong with the stomach, and the breakfast which I ate, it was oats and kind of nothing more, but something went wrong. And actually one day before the start I also didn't felt very well, but well, I thought that maybe it's just nothing serious, and it actually wasn't nothing it actually wasn't something very serious still, but the fact that I was not able to consume any meals during the race because whole breakfast was still in my stomach didn't help at all. So that was initial falling of the plan. And while on the first lap I tried to take that path on the left, here I decided that, well, maybe something changed and I could go on that sand section. Not the case. So I just lost quite a lot of time trying to do that. And here will be yet another uphill, which was also a steep one. So Dumčius here decided to take a meal, and I managed to overtake him. And if I'm not mistaken, he then actually did not finish after 2 laps, so he took off from the race. That's why he didn't manage to overtake me on the downhills anymore. So we are finishing this segment, and you can see that BXC made it in 1 minute and 33 seconds, while I made it 14 seconds slower. And this is the same downhill. I basically added the most complex parts through my eyes into the highlights. Just you could have a look which trajectory I chosen and maybe you had different thoughts, so you can always share those things in the comments. And what goes up must go down can be applied in the same way. What go down must go up. So as soon as we went down from that downhill, guess what? Another uphill awaits. And actually I saw quite a lot of guys which at some point of such uphills didn't even tried to go on them and just went off the bike, successfully made it to the top on their foot, and that's end of the story of their struggles. Me, I mostly try to go on my own on those uphills, just because I hate walking when I'm at a cycling event. That's the main reason. And even though it requires probably a bit more effort, I still love it even more than walking. And what's your preference? Do you have any? If you do, you can drop a comment and let us know whether you prefer to go on your own or just push the bike to that uphill, and that's kind of end of your struggles. And here you can see that relatively to where I am at the course, or maybe not here yet. Yeah, so that's the point. So here is Arnas Pelaitis and one other guy following him at the final uphill of the lap. So the guys are already finishing second lap, while me, I'm trying to survive quite a lot of time left on the second lap still. And you can see that I was averaging 302 watts during this 5 kilometers distance. And under the top bar you can see yet another progress bar, so I will elaborate about that later down the road. Here was yet another amazing footage from Kasparas. So behind so underneath the top bar there is a progress bar, which indicates how much time is left to finalize the segment. And here we can see that guys are already finishing the lap as well. So here is Mantas Pavlikevičius and Maksimas Žukovas who overtook me, while me, I'm still going on that second to last uphill, which means there are still a lot of time to ride on this lap for me. So yeah, the progress bar indicates how much time is left on the segment, and sometimes there are two of them during the same moment. So that means one is for whole lap and the other is for that segment which I'm riding at the moment. And you can see that on this lap I made it 10 seconds slower here, so that means I'm not going anywhere faster. So here friends took a photos and some other content, and I was so out of my mind that I didn't even manage to talk at all. So I just took the bottle of water and expected that maybe something will become a bit better for me. So it's already almost 1 hour into the race, and I'm considering whether I should continue racing, because my stomach says that probably I should, but well, we will see how it goes. So the result here indicates that my speed on the course was real slow, in compared to others. During recce, I made a single lap in 28 minutes, and here we can see that other guys are already coming towards me. Antanas Jurevičius is universal warrior, so he runs and rides. Here, Jakavonis, I believe so, overtook me, and he even said something to me about the distance among us. And even though you can see that my heart rate is 158, I didn't manage to say anything because it was, well, not the best moment for me. But here somehow I managed to run that first part, not the second, and the Bushinskas already managed to catch me on this uphill. So after that uphill, I finished this down part and then just waited for Stasis to overtake me, because I was already running a lot slower, so at least others can go at their own pace. Yeah, and about the heart rate, I'll continue afterwards. So this is the segment of yet another uphill, and you could have seen that Stasius just pushed the bike at the highest part, and here it's already more than 10 seconds slower for me than on the first lap or second one. Yeah, so about the heart rate, at some point I checked what Garmin showcases, and it turned out to be that it didn't show too much BPM, so it was like 168 average, but it felt like 180 all the time. So basically the heart rate didn't even go too high, even though I was putting a lot of effort, and even on the most complex uphills it was the maximum of 182. So that was yet another indication that something is not right. And on this point I was already kind of finally decided not to go the fourth lap, because I felt not the best one, I shall say.
Klonas prisidėjo. Tik tai geriau jaučias. Panašu.
Here Ignatas managed to catch me, and the funny thing about him is that we look almost identical. The same color helmet, almost identical clothes, and some even mix us up and don't know who is who. But yeah, Ignatas said that you have to enjoy the process and it will be easier. Antanas catched me as well, asked what's happened for me, and I told that I'm out of the competition already, so it was hard decision to stop racing after the 3 laps, but that was one of few reasons to stop racing here. I didn't felt right one day before the race, I didn't felt right on the race day, and on Friday I'm going to marathon race in Norway, so it was just yet another reason to save something in those legs, and hopefully it will be all good. So you can see that I was slower almost 1 minute, more than on the second lap, and here I'm showcasing that game over. So that was kind of it for me. It was did not finished after 3 laps. It wasn't an easy choice, but sometimes you have to do what's not easy as well. And it's not to struggle to the end, but just do what's important, and that's kind of it. So I will, as usual, upload full on board, and I hope to see you around. Also, drop in the comments what do you think about this type of video where you see others also in the relative terms on the course, and we'll catch on probably next race in Lithuania, which will be, I don't know which ones it will be. So thanks for the time, and maybe we'll meet at Cherney race in Karma Experiments season finale. Who knows? Maybe somewhere else. Cheers.